Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. How's it going? I hope everyone can hear me well. Let's hide this for a while now. Let's also not show that as well. How's it going, everyone? How's it going, everyone? Hello, test 1, 2, 3. Let's quickly do a mic check. Let me know, everyone, if you can hear the sound correctly. Let's see. Okay. Hmm. Featured places. All right, I'm just checking some settings for the live streams that are happening right now, and then we can quickly start. This is not entertainment at all. This is going to be science and education. Uh, good. Okay, this is what I was missing. Let's go. Okay, good. The chat is working as well. All right. By the way, tomorrow we are going to have um, a session with Machine Learning Pakistan. We're going to do or I think it's TensorFlow User Group Pakistan. We're going to have a session on Firebase Studio and Google Gemini or Gemini Code Assist, and how we can leverage AI for coding and how we can efficiently use AI. What are the practices? What are the paradigms? What are the potential options when it comes to this? Salman says your voice is much clearer, brother. Okay, sounds good. Awesome. As usual, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Good. So last time we were having a fun project that we were looking into, that was with agent development kit, and then also basically creating a front end for it, which I think is a nice little project that could be useful going on. We would have to take that a bit forward here, because I was talking to my friends at IOMX, and there were some things that we figured out. Okay, these are the things that are not going to work with the current approach that we are taking. So I'm just going to quickly sit, and then we can get started. And by the way, if you are working on something that is interesting, that you want to share, feel free to do so. And it's becoming a bit warmer here in Stockholm, Sweden, so it's you may hear the sound of my fan. But if it becomes too noisy, let me know and I'll change the direction. Asad says, Assalamu alaikum, bhai. Assalamu alaikum, Ahsan bhai. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Or good to see your messages at least. All right. Let me see if I can start sharing my screen. And I'm going to have to add a source there. Screen share. We would have to go with a region instead of the whole thing. So let's see if I can do that quickly. And let me know when you can see my screen as well. So we're going to do it like this. Ooh, that's interesting. Let me try to share it correctly. Window region. Aha, okay. So we should be selecting it like this. That's not accurate. Sorry about the technical difficulties, as they say. So select region and selecting this. Still doesn't exactly do what I want it to do, to be honest, because I don't want to share the whole screen. I do want to share a specific region, and it keeps sharing the whole screen. No, not entire screen. Choose a different screen. If I say window, maybe you can just share a window. Let's see. Okay, let's see what is. Okay, so this is, I think this is much better, and we can keep ourselves in this window, and then we can take it from there. Okay, so let us quickly go through what we were implementing last time. So start with we did start with two projects. One was front end with Firebase Studio, and the second one was sort of the backend side of it, which was the Agent Connect backend itself. And we had some issues when it came to the project itself, and we were looking into the APIs and services, and we deployed our Flask uh, our Flask application, which did not seem to work as expected. Let's see if I can find it, because there were some issues, there were some errors that were there, and including like it kept saying that we need to increase the memory of this particular application. So here you can see we had, yeah, memory limit of this, right? So we're gonna increase this just to not fall short, and let's try to use Gemini within the Google Cloud Platform to see if it can help us with this. So I'm gonna say I'm seeing this error, um, and then I can share this. And again, this whole stream is about AI assisted coding. So you're gonna see me using AI quite a lot. But if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to share them in the chat. And by the way, those of you who don't know still, we have my Angular book now published. It is available on Amazon. If I go to the bookshelf, this is, by the way, how I look at my books, for example. So I can go to US. Oh, we got a rating. Let's go. Hey, this is awesome. Let me share the excitement on big screen. So we got we got a rating. That's awesome. So we've got a 5-star rating, and this is the first rating that we have gotten, reviewed in UK. This is a really great book on Angular signals, really good explanation of what methods and properties do, with some great code examples. If you want to learn about Angular signals, then this is a must-read book. Okay, because I did not see any ratings so far of my book, so this is an awesome step, I would say. So whoever actually gave the feedback, thank you so much if you watch this stream. If not, thank you still. Anyways, so you can scan the QR code, and if and you can get your own copy of the Mastering Angular Signals, and I hope that it helps as well. Okay, coming back to the AI assistance part, here you can see we have on the right side, this is the Cloud Assist, but it is basically using Gemini or Gemini Code Assist around the clock, so to say. So here we can get some ideas of what it could be. Asad Munir says, do you have any online courses? By the way, I have two courses online. One is if you go to YouTube, there's a free course called Web Development Basics. That is for someone who doesn't have any idea about what web development is, and you can learn from that course. I'm going to share in the chat, but maybe next time I'll also add that as a QR code as well, so people can scan easily. So we do have this web development course. I'm going to share this in the chat, so you should be able to see it now. So you see, no, here on the top. So this is a web development course which is from scratch. More than 15, I think more than 1,500 people last time I checked are learning it from. Okay, 1,600 people are learning it from my website itself, where I have the same course. So you could go to codewithahsan.dev/courses to see those, and you can get access to all of my courses then. And then I also have this practical React essential code. This one is on Udemy. So if you want to learn React JS in Urdu/Hindi, you can essentially go there as well. So I hope that helps. But anyways, let's go to fixing this. So here it says this error indicates that your Cloud Run service instance attempted to use memory more than it was allocated, leading to its termination. Even though error message says 512 MB against a 512 MB limit, it's possible that a brief spike in memory usage. So we could increase the memory to do it. So what do we do here? We go to Cloud Run Services page in the Google Cloud Console. We edit and deploy new revision, and then we expand the container volumes networking security section. And then in the memory, we can do 1 GB. So let's quickly do that. And as you know, I am not a cloud expert yet, but I'm exploring what Google Cloud can do for me. And the the amazing part is that I don't have to be an expert already. I can basically just go and ask Cloud Assist. So I like this approach. So we have two different things. We could go ahead and do it via the Cloud CLI. I would say this is an interesting way. Or I could go to the console via the UI and do the same thing. But since I like looking at Cloud, I would rather, or CLI, I would rather do it here. So I'm going to quickly authorize the Cloud shell. Let's not go there. And then we are going to run this particular command. So this new little feature, I think it's really handy when it comes to running um, actually assistance or finding issues instead of searching on Google or consulting an expert, which also is a good option. But if you don't have the opportunity to do that, then you can do that as well. And here you can see related content as well at the bottom. It's like giving the Stack Overflow answers as well. Okay, so now we have the Cloud Assistance ready. So I can go here and basically copy it to Cloud Shell. Now I have to give my region, which is US Central 1. And then I also have to give my service name. So let's quickly go ahead and change the region, which is US Central 1. And then let's quickly go to the service name, which is essentially Flask-app. Okay. So now it's going to update and do a new deployment. And we can also, but if I go to the other tab, I think this Cloud Shell is also going to move there as well, which I am struggling a bit to understand if it's a good feature or not, but we'll see. Yeah, so here you see use session was transferred to the new tab. I would say, um, yeah, it's fine. So we go there. Now we can see that the Flask app is redeploying at the moment. And now it's deployed. So this should not have those issues anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the Cloud Shell here. And I'm also going to go ahead and refresh just to see the logs and see if the memory spikes are still there. So now it's running. I think it's going to be fine. So we have the Agent Connect BE, which is right here, which was our backend for our front end application or for our Agent Connect application. So this was the Agent Connect application that we discussed creating. The idea of this particular application is that I wanted to create a UI for agents or AI agents which have been deployed to Google Cloud using the Vertex AI engine or Vertex agent engine. And all we should need is just, let's say, either um, a resource ID that it could connect to, or it could also implement something. Because we figured out when I was working with my friends at IOMX, we figured out that just the resource ID would not allow you to connect to the agent engine, and it would basically fail because we need to have authentication locally as well. So we can actually look at this right here. So let's say if I try to go and say, can we run, or let's say, can we run a test command from, is it at, or let's see. So this is agent auto run, and then we have also file from workspace, which should be API testing command. From API testing command to um, just, maybe we can say, create a new session and then delete it to clean up. Okay, so we are just saying that. Maybe you cannot see that correctly, so I'm gonna move myself to the top. Give me 1 second. Let me move there. Let me also decrease the size as well. Okay. Do we need the name there? No. Okay, so here now what I can do is I can see if it can run the commands for me. So we can test the APIs, and once we have the APIs running, we can then go to the front end to connect that. And I think the server, since it's running now, it should be good. So here we are pushing. Okay, so here we have a problem. We need to have the resource ID for this, and I don't remember which one. Okay, so here we had the resource ID last time. So this is the command. That's good. So I have the history of this as well. See the details from this curl call that we did last time and give me the right command for creation and deletion. Okay, so here I'm going to give it the command that we used last time, so I don't have to put everything manually. And you can see that it automatically gave me the right command, and now it has filled in the variables. So ABC is here, resource ID is here, everything is here. Good. So now I can quickly run this command in the terminal, and I think it's going to fail because, or if my session is still authenticated on this machine, which I think it should be because it kept the history as well. So I think this should be okay, but let's see. Okay, this is taking awfully a lot of time. Okay, so we got the response. So that means that a new session was created, and you can see that Gemini automatically gives me a new command because it checks, okay, command got succeeded, and we have a session now that was created. So now I can run this same command for deleting as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly go ahead and run it. And now this is going to be deleting. So here now it says I've created a new session and deleted it. Awesome. This is super cool, right? Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and say and ask Gemini, is this a good approach, or I would need to have a service account JSON to be able to access uh, the agent engine. So I'm going to ask it because I already talked to my, as I mentioned, I already talked to my friends at IOMX, and we did discuss that it's going to be, sorry, I'm going to move myself a bit down, which seems a bit difficult. Why is that? Customize, da, 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 da. Okay, I can do that as well. Nice. Ooh. Free move. No. This feature I was not familiar with. Anyways, let's move myself a bit down here. And I don't know, maybe make it like this, this, this. This is good. And then I can maximize this guy as well. Size 100%. Okay, I think that's good enough. So what were we doing? Now we have deleted and created a session. Now, as I said, I was going to ask it, how can I run this efficiently without logging into the console? So I'm going to ask it right now. I have logged into the Google Cloud CLI in this machine, and that's how we are able to connect to the agent engine using the resource ID. However, if we want the users to be able to connect their agent engines without needing to log into the machine to set it up, we would probably need a service account JSON from the Google Cloud project. All right. So since we have a front-end application for this, I think the ideal case would be to pass the project ID, and even before that, a services JSON or service account JSON, which could be locally stored on the server, on the file system. So we probably need the possibility. You can see how much I'm writing, and this is like prompt engineering 101. So you need to talk to your agent with as much detail as possible so you get the right answers. So we probably need the possibility of adding a service account JSON to this app backend, and or we can getting the JSON content using a get call, an endpoint that says that gives a boolean that the JSON exists or not, and a possibility to delete the service account JSON or replace it, so to say. Okay, so we are going with this, and let's see what Gemini comes up with. Internal error. Okay, let's try this again. All right, there we go. So that's a solid plan for enabling users to connect the agents engines without requiring them to log into the machine running the backend. Using a service account JSON stored on the server is standard and secure way to handle authentication in this scenario. Okay, so this is the way to go. And here's a breakdown. So it's gonna have an endpoint to add service account JSON, right? Then it's going to securely store the JSON content on the server file system, and then we should validate the incoming JSON to ensure it's valid service account key. Then we have the endpoint to check if the service account exists, endpoint to get the service account JSON content, and then we have endpoint to delete the service account. The security consideration here is that secure storage. Ensure the service account JSON file is stored in a secure location on the server outside of the web root and with restricted file system permissions. Okay. Endpoint security would be all endpoints related to service account upload get must be properly secured. Implement authentication and authorization to ensure only trusted clients can access the file system. Okay, does that mean we would have to include I'm thinking now actually. Does that mean we are going to have to do this using Firebase authentication? Okay, we can think about that. Then we have environment variables. Consider using environment variables or separate configuration files to store the path to the service account file rather than hard coding it in your application code. This approach provides necessary flexibility. Okay, so we can say, okay, sounds like a good plan. Please implement it now. So we go with implementing it. Okay, but we also need to look into, so the path thing is important, but I think we also need to have the Firebase authentication in this case. So what we can do is we can say, please implement the service account actions behind authentication only such that the Firebase or the users who are logged in with Firebase. You can use Firebase admin here, are allowed to perform these actions. Now, the thing is that this increases the complexity for us because we now need to authenticate it. So I'm thinking if we should go with a minimal viable product, which means that it may not be as secure. So anyone could go and upload their service JSON. Um, and I'm thinking about it now, actually. If you are using the same application, you will probably have one single service account JSON. And if someone else tries to put their project in it, then that's going to be a problem. So how do we do this in a way that it only is possible to be done by one single account and not everyone could do it? So maybe what we could do is, I'm thinking now, because I don't want this to be too complex. But I also want this to be secure as well. I think we could say use Firebase, but then even in Firebase, we would have to go with, okay, this is the only account that can be used for doing the service JSON thing, I think. Or we don't go in this complexity at all and we say, okay, but then they would have to, I'm thinking now. Because the thing is, if I make this public and I ask people to try this out, they're not going to provide their service account JSON files to me, right? And the idea is that we have something that's open sourced and they can deploy their own code to their servers, which means that they should have the possibility to just go inside and then have a service account JSON. So maybe what we can do is we can disregard this whole thing and we can say, let's update the code. Because I don't think the service account JSON is something that's going to happen too often. You probably would have just one deployment for one ADK. Okay, so let's disregard this, I would say. And I'm thinking now, who can upload the service account JSON in this case and disregard it, or disregard it as well. Or maybe we could have like a password that can only be known to certain people, and then because if this is a feature that could be used from the front end, that means that anyone can use it, which we don't really want. So I think the most secure thing would be that they would have to provide their service account JSON in here, which means that they don't really then need to give the resource ID as well. I'm thinking now. The you know where the difficulty lies? It lies in deciding if we want this to be flexible or if we want this to be secured. If we create it so it's really flexible, then nobody's going to use it because it's not secure. So the question is, do we allow them to upload service account JSON from the UI? If we do so, how do we do it so that only the people that we whitelist can do it and not everyone can do it with the service account JSON? Or what we could do is we can say we allow the service account JSON to be uploaded just once, and if it's already there, then we don't allow it anymore, and then someone has to go and manually remove it. Maybe we are too maybe we are over engineering it quite a lot. So let's do this instead. Let's disregard this plan. The service account JSON will be added, because I think the problem is anyone can do it. Or let's ask Gemini what it thinks. If we go with this plan, anyone could upload the service account JSON file, which may everything. But even if they upload a service account JSON, everything and the app may stop working if it is not a valid service account JSON. How do we avoid that? Let's see what Gemini thinks, because yeah, I've thought a lot on this one. Let's have a look at what Gemini says. So you have raised a critical point about security and data integrity. Allowing just anyone to upload and potentially override the service account is significantly vulnerability. Exactly. That's how you can mitigate that risk, ensure the app continuous function reliability. So authentication and authorization. So implement user authentication. Only authenticated and authorized users should be allowed in this case. Role-based access control. Define different roles with varying level of permissions. For instance, only administrator or specific users should have the ability to upload or delete service account file. Regular users would only need to know whether a service account exists. Input validation. Okay. Validate key content, optional but recommended. Automatic updates and backups. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so this is the workflow. User uploads a potential service account file via protected endpoint. The backend receives the file, saves it into a temporary path. The backend reads the temporary file, validates the JSON structure. If the validation failed, the temporary file is deleted. If validation succeeds, then the existing service account file is backed up by renaming it with a timestamp. Okay, a temporary file is moved to this is. If any step after system error during replacement, the backend attempts to revert to the backup file and logs it. This sounds good to me. How do we put the whitelisted URLs? I think we would have to do that in the code itself. So how do we whitelist users who can perform the action? So whitelisting user, deleting hard coded whitelist, simple but less flexible. Yeah, so let's do it this way. So let's use env variables for or let's use a hard coded whitelist for this. We can have that in the code. We will use Firebase authentication to um, to ensure users who use the application and reach the protected endpoints are authenticated, right? So we do it like this. We would need to implement both it here, and I think we would need it here as well. How did we log into this account? If I click sign out, what does happen? So nothing happens at the moment. It just signs out and doesn't do anything. So we may need to have Firebase there as well. Let's use Firebase authentication in this case. We can also say, let's start implementing it, this approach. Okay. So let's see what it comes up with and the changes as well. I think it's time for us to start looking at the code as well. Okay, so here we have so we got ask, discuss plan, make changes to your app, auto apply changes to your app, agent auto run. Okay, so here we have set up a Firebase authentication, and then we have Firebase admin SDK, implement Firebase authentication, blah blah blah, implement hard coded whitelist, example snippet, let's say you need adapt your Flask structure. Okay, so I would say I want you to start implementing these changes step by step. Okay, so the first thing is that we install Firebase admin. So we're gonna quickly install that. Then we need to have the service account key for the Firebase project as well. So we are going to use that. But I don't really know if we need to go to, okay. Okay, what happened here? To permanently add this package to your environment, please add this. Pip is not installed but available in the following packages. Think we need this guy. Oh, but we do have sorry, we are using poetry. So we do it like this. All right, so this is installing it correctly now. Okay, so we got an error. Let's see. We can copy this. Copy, paste. Let's do it like this. So here, it says run. Command failed. So now it figured it out. Poetry command was not found. This could mean poetry is not installed or not in the system path. Okay. When this runs it, where does this go? Okay, Python. I don't know. So Python, or we can do source. And we can say venv pin activate. Is not satisfied. Do we need to update the project? Okay, let's see. How to fix this error? Let's see. Okay, so this is probably going to suggest that we update the Google ADK. So we copy this, paste this. Okay. Then we can go ahead with adding Firebase admin. Okay, now we got some other errors. So let's quickly copy those. We got these errors. Okay, so what do we have here? So we have, because Google ADK Depends on both cloud storage and cloud storage. This is required, and because Firebase admin depends on cloud storage, which is greater than 3.1.1, Firebase admin is forbidden. Okay, so we need to probably go with something that is not as big. Let's try versions around admin 5.x.x. I don't know. That's a bit risky actually, but let's see if we can do it correctly. Yeah, that worked. So good suggestions, at least I would say. Now we can go ahead and at least try to download this. What do you call it? Now we're gonna download the Firebase JSON. So give me 1 second. We need to download the projects, and that should give me. How do I get to the service account JSON for a Python SDK? So let's see. Okay, so create a service account. If you don't have one, it's gonna go to IAM admin service account and then service account, and then these things. Cloud Run Invoker. Okay, create and download a new JSON key. So let's see if I can quickly. But would I have to also um, include Firebase too? Hmm. Okay, you're asking how to include Firebase in the context of runtime, implying you want Python application to interact with Firebase services. It's a good that Firebase projects are essentially Google Cloud projects with additional Firebase service enabled. Firebase Google Cloud that can be used to authenticate with Firebase admin. Okay, here's a background how to get. So we first get on the Firebase, then we create a new key, and then we can initialize the SDK with that information. But for this one, even I think if we have service accounts, how did we do that? And I think this stream is not gonna finish what we want to work with, but we'll see. So we go to IAM admin, and we should be able to create a service account. And I think permission from so we got this um service accounts page in the Google Cloud service accounts, which is here. Okay, so we have this account. Then we go ahead and we do create a service account. um we can call it Python SDK, and then we have a description. We don't need that, and then we need to grant certain actions to it. So for this one, we need to give cloud run uh, invoker. ठीक है. So this one, and then we also have storage object admin. So we got those as well. I also want something that's related to Firebase. Cloud storage for Firebase admin. Do we have a Firebase user? No. Do we have Firebase admin? Not admin, but admin. So we have Firebase access at least. I would say Firebase admin in this case. And then principals with access. I don't think we need principals, but let's see. Okay, so we go with this. And we have at least a service account here. Now we can go to console, firebase.google.com. We're gonna go with was it giveaway? I think it was. No, it was Agent Connect. But we don't have an Agent Connect project yet. So we probably want to have an Agent Connect project, but we deployed this to Google. Okay. Okay, so when we want to publish this, we're gonna have to create a Firebase project for this one. So we do it from here. Let's see. Okay, so we got a project created. We're gonna pay as you go. That's fine. And then we set up the service. So Cloud Fry Store, Firebase authentication, and Firebase services. So I think we need two different things. We need Firebase. We need a service account for ADK, and then we need a service account for Firebase. So I'm gonna ask it as well. I think we need two things here: service account for Google ADK connection and service account for Firebase. Is that correct? That's an excellent question. It so based on the context we have Firebase admin SDK, which we are planning to add need credentials to authenticate with Firebase and other Google Cloud services, and then the Google ADK there. It's why you will need separate credentials, blah blah blah. Okay. In summary, you will need two service accounts. That's fine. Okay. Let's start adjusting the code. The code to support both of these. We'll set up the endpoints, make them authenticated with Firebase, and use the other service account to connect to the agent on Vertex AI. Okay, so we'll start doing those. Let's see. Now I should have one more project here. Here we have Agent Connect. So we should have a service account there as well. And this one is now available. So I'm gonna still publish it, but we are going to enable the other things as well. So Firebase auth is there. Let's see. So the authentication is enabled, email and password and anonymous. In this case, then we have we should have Firestore database, which should also be enabled, I think. Yeah, so we have this enabled as well. The rules should be set as well. Okay, so let's see. Choose the environment variable variable names, update your application. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, can you make the changes yourself, because I'm not in the mood. Ooh, my capabilities are limited to providing you with the code. When did that happen? Interesting. Because previously I thought you could help. Well, let's see. Okay, what if I gave you main? Where is it? Source main.py. Okay. Okay, let's see. So here, if I go to source main.py, here is where we have the whole code generated, right? And hmm, aha, so autorun can make breaking changes to protect your work. Okay, so then we create a Git repo. That was interesting. I did not know that part. Is it creating a Git repo right now? Probably is, but I don't see that at the moment. Maybe this is something that's happening behind the scenes. And my camera died. Let's see if I can fix that. Customize. Mm-mm-mm. We're gonna use the second camera, and I don't know why is it so down. Maybe we could do it like this. Yeah, that's much nicer. Okay, so we do have to go. If I go with agent or if I go with agent auto run, I don't know why if it has created a GitHub repository for me already. I don't see where. Okay, but anyways, so here let's make the changes. Here's the modified with the source code. Okay, I'm sorry, but I can't help you with this. Can we go with agent? Okay, let's implement and let's close all the files for now. So let's implement the possibility to we have the whole chat here, so I'm thinking okay, so I'm gonna ask it again. Let's see. Open your main py file that I've done. Now add the import statements to Firebase and credentials. So we go ahead and we import Firebase admin credentials. So we add them right here. Then what do we have afterwards? Initialize Firebase admin with the SDK path. So we go ahead after the Vertex AI stuff, we go ahead with initializing. But we don't have anything set up here actually. So we do this, but even before we do this, and we do this after or we have our app being created here. So we get the Firebase SDK path, and then we go here, and then we do this. Okay. Then um, so we create the Firebase SDK that is enabled now. We check the Firebase SDK path, blah 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 blah. We call the Firebase try accept. Okay. Okay, so we have done actually this, but we need to now have the Firebase authentication, so to say. So let me give me 1 second, and we can look into the other stuff. Maybe not that big. Let's see what happens if I do. Okay, anyways. So let's try to get the JSON. So give me 1 second. We're going to see the JSON file, the service account JSON. Config, not really that. But I wanted to have this for web, Android, Apple iOS, and then we have Flutter and Unity. Service accounts. So there we have a service account. And what we need here is Python. And then we are using credentials.certificate. Are we using that? Yeah, we are using that. And then we just generate a private key. Okay. Generate key. And we basically download it in our machine. Then I want to have that actually in the source code maybe. And we can say service accounts. I want to put one file inside service accounts. Okay, so we can say so give me 1 second. And we can close this. And now we have to create an env variable. So if I go back to the demo now, I can actually go and create a .env file. Oh, we already have one. Give me 1 second so I don't expose anything that should not be exposed. We do have a Gemini key there. Okay. So I'm gonna enable the variable, which is, let's put the value there, and we should have source service accounts and then this .json. And then we have the variable name Firebase admin SDK path. So we put that. Give me 1 second. Connecting database, not really. Connecting service account JSON. So we have so we can interact with Firebase, so to say. And now we also have to include Vertex AI admin SDK as well. So here we have Vertex AI agent service account path. So I've already set the Firebase one, which is inside here. So here we have the file. So I've set it to the right file now, and I downloaded it as well. Now I want to go and download the service account that we have here. So I'm gonna try to download this. Give me 1 second because I've not done this before. Enabled advanced settings, permissions. How do I'm looking at how I can download this. So service account, go to the keys, okay, and then we do add a key, okay. JSON or P12. I'm gonna do JSON. Oh, that was easy. And then I go and generate that. And then I can quickly go and put that in my service account. Good. That was not too hard. And then I can copy this. And then I can also add that in the env variable. Source service accounts / this file. And the variable name is Vertex agent AI SA path. So I set that as well. Now I can close this and we are good. Okay, so yeah, the hard part is done. So I can now say to Gemini that I've added both service accounts and have set the variables as well. Okay. Okay, so now we have to implement the authentication part. So this is where we have the authentication decorator. So what do we do here? I just go to a new file, e.g. source authfile within your existing file. So what we are going to do is we're going to copy this. We're gonna go to source, and inside we're gonna create a new file, auth.python, and then we have it here. So we got authenticate Firebase token right here. So it imports Flask, requests JSONify, it gets authorization, blah, 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 look at the barrier token, splits it. After splitting, the next part or the thing or index one is essentially the actual token. It uses that. If there is a user in there, it sends it back. Otherwise, it throws an error. Good. So I think we have that. I would say I've put that in. How can I? Okay. I would say in Py. I want to use it in the existing routes. And the existing routes, if I go to main.py, so we have this chat blueprint, which comes from controllers chat. So we do have the chat controller, which is under source controllers chat controller.py. Let's see. Okay, so now that we have this, so we have put that. Now we can go ahead with the chat controller right here. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat now as well. Is it Django? Ali asks. No, it's Flask. So now that we have this, so here's how you would modify chat controller Py. So if I go to chat controller Py, which is here, so we have chat name, other imports. So we do need to have Flask and then source auth. So this is where this comes in. Then we go ahead and we say chat blueprint route, which is this one, session methods. And then in the methods, we have post. And then here we just have to add the decorator. Okay. So then we just need to add a decorator, authentication decorator, da 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 da. Wait. So what is this? We start with send a message, right? So this is where it is. So if I go ahead, assuming you have an agent service initialized somewhere from source. Okay, so we have agent service here. Let's ignore that. So we have the Firebase token here, send a message, and then even the send message here is doing something fishy. So here it says now request current user is available with the authenticated user. Okay, so we basically get the user ID from here. So we are updating that like this instead. And we basically set this right here. You might want to remove this. Yeah, I removed it already. Resource ID is this. Validating that the user ID in the request body matches the user ID from the token. I don't think so. Or we could do that, to be honest. Okay, anyways. So we check this user ID. Then if the user ID from token doesn't exist, then we do a 400. Kind of makes sense. I'm really, really afraid of Python indentation. Well, let's see. Okay, and then we have replace the original user ID with user ID from token. Then we go ahead and we say user ID equals user ID from token actually. No, but user ID. Okay. Sorry. This one should still be there then. If I'm validating it, then it should be here. So we should have user ID, and user ID is not equal to user ID from token, then we have an issue. If this doesn't really exist at all, then we have an issue as well. I think some of these are actually not accurate, but we'll leave it for now. Apply the authentication decorator for this one. Was it? Is it get? Yeah, get messages. Then we do the same thing. So I think we can just do it like this, to be honest, and do user ID like this, I would say, right? And I think we can just do the same thing towards the other as well. So delete a session. I think when it comes to deleting a session, we probably don't need to own. Okay, we can do it, I think. So we do it like this, and then creating a session, which should also be just like this. Da, 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 da. I think we are good enough, to be honest. What do we feel like? So this is good, and I have 3 more minutes only. So I'm gonna quickly go and say, okay, okay, it is done. What's next? Okay, so now it says you have Firebase routing agent in place. So this is service account endpoints and implement basic endpoints. So this is the endpoint that it's suggesting to us. So create a new file, which is going to be this service account controller py. We don't need to do this. I think we discussed it. We don't need to do it. Register the new blueprint, so we don't need that as well. We are not implementing these endpoints. Disregard feature. Is everything else okay? Can we start testing it? Okay, so then we have ensure Firebase admin is initialized, session method, blah, blah, blah. So if we look at the server here now, we have a bunch of error, or we had a bunch of errors, but we have to fix some things here and there. Okay, how about we restart this? What was the command that it runs in the beginning? Okay, so we stop the server, then we run dev server.sh, and I want to see if there are any errors there. Okay, so we do have errors. So we have, ooh, okay, detected change, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this guy here. So let's see if I can ask about the errors here. We're getting these errors. How do we fix them? Previously, when I tried Code Assist, it actually helped updating the code itself, but now it seems like it doesn't directly. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So here's how you can modify. Da, 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 da. Aha, okay. Okay, anyways, now it's actually the time that I have to go. I have an appointment, so I need to be there. But thank you everyone who joined. We're going to continue this. We're going to continue working on this AI assisted live streams and hopefully implement the Agent Connect application pretty soon. One thing that I think we can close off in a good sort of news is the Agent Connect front end is actually deployed on Cloud Run. So it asks for an ID. I could say something, and now I can create chats, and then we can start interacting with that as well, which is actually super nice. So yeah, and this is running on production.